This chair is pretty dope. After having a very long stream, you can just sit back and chill. Oh, it's so nice to have a comfortable chair finally. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Adrian here. Welcome back to the channel. I've just completed my World of Warcraft leveling stream number 5, heading into the Mists of Pandaria expansion. First of all, I want to thank all of you guys for joining me tonight for that adventure. It was pretty fun, and we'll talk about Mists of Pandaria coming up in this vlog number 6 for World of Warcraft. So let's start it off by talking about what I've done in the past week from last week's stream. You know, completing the Wrath of the Lich King stuff, pretty rewarding in the end. As I've said on the vlog, I got to see a lot of the story payout, which was great. And then this week I jumped into Cataclysm expansion. And, you know, again, from last week, there was 2 choices of zones to start with. You could either go to Vashnir? Shit, me and names, I do apologize, I'm terrible at names. And of course Mount Geow, and I picked Mount Geow simply because of, you know, what people have recommended. And I want to say something real quick about you guys recommending zones to be and all that. I do appreciate that. That's great information. It keeps me updated on, you know, what zone would suit me or what's nice and what's not, and I do appreciate that. And while there are some of you out there that are adamant of me absolutely having to go to some of these zones as a must-play zones, again, that's very helpful information. But don't worry if I don't go to a particular zone that you want me to, or your favorite zone, whatever, because the entire World of Warcraft review is not going to be based on, you know, the individual quality of this zone. So that's not going to be a part of the review. I'm looking at it as a whole. The entire game, the mechanics, the progression, the journey, you know, the systems, the story, all that stuff. And I will eventually have to miss a couple of zones, you know, which I have. There's some expansions like TBC, for example, I didn't do half the zones. Wrath of Lich King especially, I didn't do half the zones, and Cataclysm only did 1.5 zones. So there's a lot of replayability factor there for World of Warcraft in terms of when you start a new character or an alt, and you can go back and do all those zones again, which eventually I'll get to one day. But it's not the important thing for the review. It's not exactly going to impact that at all. You know, so don't worry if I don't get to a zone of yours, but keep the suggestions coming. It's always nice to know what people like and what people don't, and then I can make up my own mind whenever I go play it. In terms of the Mount Geow story, oh man, what an introduction, getting into that zone and seeing Deathwing and what his plans were, and, you know, his lieutenant coming up from the lava and everything. That was a particular cutscene that I really enjoyed. And speaking of cutscenes, you know, from a storytelling point of view, Cataclysm increased the levels in terms of the narrative quality all around, and it was so noticeable. And again, I'll say it again, the benefit of me playing this in a leveling stream format is that I am moving at a pace that, you know, the previous expansions and the previous content I do is still very fresh in my mind. That's why it's so easy to see the dips in quality or the increase in quality. And this time, for a questing zone, Mount Geow really did raise the bar in some aspects. Storytelling wise, the quest flow and everything was great. From a lore perspective, you know, I got to work with the Ancients, which I'm familiar with because I've read the novels about the Ancients. And, you know, I got to see a lot of popular names from the WoW universe, you know, Malfurion, for example, and a bunch more, which was really, I wouldn't call it like a nerdy moment, but it was nice to see and play alongside that. In terms of the overall story for Mount Geow, I kind of liked it. It was pretty short though, because it was only a zone. And the thing about Cataclysm is you only needed 5 levels, and because of I had rested XP and everything, I just moved through the zone so fast. There wasn't out, and I wasn't even taking my time with it. I was just playing, you know, at a pace that I would steadily play per usual. I only get like couple of hours to 3 hours a week, not a week, a day maybe, to commit to moving along in World of Warcraft. And yeah, it was a pretty short expansion. I didn't really have to do much there. I did do a lot more dungeons, and speaking of dungeons, you know how in the past I talked about from vanilla to TBC to Wrath of the Lich King, dungeons really were just easy to go in, tank and spank most of the time, and then towards the latter half of those expansions, you know, they had new mechanics coming out that you have to be aware of. Cataclysm dungeons, at least the ones that I jumped in this past week, man, the difficulty is stepping up. And usually I thought, because of what I've been through in the past, that okay, it's a pug group, we can really get through this, no communication required. I was wrong. A lot of the Cataclysm dungeons are designed in a way that now at least your class specializations will come into play pretty heavily. So if you're a tank, you absolutely need to know what you're doing. If you're a healer, your healing skills will be put to the test. And of course, if you're a DPS, then you want to optimize yourself to be the most effective, DPSer in your group. Of course, not all the dungeons are like that. Some of them, I remember having the tank drop, but we had a class in there that could summon an elemental pet tank or whatever, and that got the job done at the final boss. So it's not all that difficult, but I can see that the dungeons now, moving forward, Cataclysm onward, difficulty is increasing, mechanics are getting a little bit more interesting. And I've enjoyed it so far. Also jumped into PvP this week for the Twitch stuff, which I'll talk about later on. And yeah, I got my first taste of something else besides just capture the flag, because that used to be the only thing that popped for me, is those random battlegrounds that had capture the flag mechanics. But this week I got the resource one, which I'm not a big fan of in PvP. I like all these little gimmicky games within the PvP itself, like certain objective that you must meet. I think that's cool, but the novelty of doing that runs out, or goes away very, very fast. I prefer just getting to it. Fight, PvP, small and close space, all about skills. And that's where I guess skirmishes and brawls come into play, because I'm now at a level where those are unlocked, so I can do 2v2s, 3v3s. I think there's like 5v5s, I could be wrong, but those stuff are unlocked. And I will be checking that out in a new series on Twitch, which I'll talk about towards the end of the vlog. Alright, let's talk about the Mists of Pandaria expansion. I was looking forward to this one probably ever since I started reviewing WoW, because I was more aware of the Mists of Pandaria expansion more than any other expansion for World of Warcraft, because at the time I was playing the Lord of the Rings Online, and that was like 2012 maybe when this thing hit. And the thing about the Pandaria expansion was, at least from where I come from, the circle of MMO players I come from, we all looked at that from the outside thinking, wow, World of Warcraft must have ran out of ideas, because they went with the whole panda thing. And at the time, as I was saying on stream, just on stream, that at the time Kung Fu Panda was the thing. So what are they doing with this whole new panda race and class, and Pandaria and whatever? So of course I know nothing about WoW at the time. That was like what, 6 years ago. So yeah, made fun of it, probably just to appease like the Chinese markets or whatever, just Asian in general, because it's such an oriental expansion. And I guess I stuck with it. It just remained in my mind. I always knew about the Pandaria expansion, but finally I got the chance to check it out. I hit 85 about, I think, Thursday or Friday, and then I just stopped. And today on stream, as you guys probably have already watched this stream, because this vlog's gonna come out a day after the streams, I was blown away. I really was. I wasn't really expecting to be wowed, but for the opening, even the opening sequence, like when I got to Stormwind, you can pick up the hero's call board or whatever. Fine, I get a quest to go talk to the people who are going to send me to Pandaria. And the cool thing is, in previous expansion, I moaned about the fact that there wasn't really story continuity that will give you a reason why you are going into the new expansion, what the purpose is, and from a narrative point of view, that was kind of lacking in the Burning Crusade. It was lacking in Wrath of the Lich King. Cataclysm, at least, there was some urgency there. You met somebody in Stormwind who's telling you that the world is changing or whatever. You have to go and save Azeroth as we know it from Deathwing's Return or whatever. So I can see it picking up there, but Pandaria just blew that out of the water. There was a full-blown in-game scene where the characters are talking about this with some urgency, and that naturally made me hyped to go to Pandaria, because the Admiral's missing, the Prince is missing, their ship's gone somewhere south, it's a new zone, and the first 10 to 15, 20 minutes, half an hour was all cutscenes, in-game cutscenes, not of the cinematic style, but in a way that really immerses you and soaks you into the moment of why you're actually going there. And that was done really well, I thought, because it integrated storytelling and gameplay mechanics in the same thing. You could fly the gyrocopter, and then the horde's there, of course, and it just ties everything nicely in a bundle to introduce you into the Mists of Pandaria expansion, again, which was missing from prior expansions. That's how I feel about it. I love it. I enjoyed it. And that is one area or one aspect of the expansion quality increase that is very noticeable from the past 3 expansions, for me at least. And so far, you know what? The story change that I've been doing regarding the pandas, you know, I always thought it was kind of, what's the word I'm going to use here? Gimmicky, I suppose, with the whole panda thing, but I kind of like them. You know, they've got their own vibe and attitude about them, being a race in World of Warcraft now. And of course, there's the new fish people. I forgot the name already. Damn it! And we were talking about that on stream all night. But yeah, the fish, the cousins of the Murloc, the fish people, those were really interesting. I mean, because it's a new lands, a new zone. There's new races to deal with, and I really like that aspect of how World of Warcraft introduces this new races and you know. With regards to like questing mechanics and everything, most of it largely remains the same quest hub crawl, if you will, almost the same mechanics, you know, fetch and kill stuff. But at least now, you know, because of how much I've seen in Warcraft over the past month in terms of what they can do, like their mini games within quests, for example, you're always aware that there's something Warcraft is going to do that's not necessarily usual, mostly out of the box stuff mechanics, you know, and I kind of like that. And I'm not tired of that yet. Maybe a lot of people will feel like, oh, it's too, again, with the word gimmicky, to have all these little fun mechanics like shooting, going into radical mode, and flying gyrocopters and stuff. I'm not tired of that, because I think that's a great way to break that monotony of kill 10 this, kill 10 that, fetch 4 this, fetch 5 that. At the point in the stream, you know, I was even doing those stuff without even thinking that you know, it is what it is. It is a MMO trope, but I wasn't feeling that at all. I was just happy to continue the story. Of course, you got the MI7 or MI7. I forgot the name already. But you know, the Elite Alliance secret, you know, agent group or whatever. That was pretty cool. Their interactions with each other and so far, and that's probably where I stopped. But yeah, excellent stream. I'm loving Mists of Pandaria so far. So the next week, my job is to soak in as much of the Pandaria expansion as I can. The difference here is that, you know, the recommended levels for each zone previously in other expansions would be like, okay, here you can get from 50 to 54 or whatever. In Pandaria, it's all one level, so each zone will give you just enough of one level. So I hope I get to see a lot of the zones this week, and maybe jump into a few dungeons and see what the Pandaria dungeons are all about. So looking forward to that this coming week. Also, somebody mentioned on stream, I think it was Graspy and a few others, that patch 735 could be coming out on Tuesday, which is the 16th of January, or it could be on the 20-something. So there's talk that the 735 is going to come out really, really soon. In case you guys are wondering, how does that impact my leveling? The answer is it doesn't. I'm going to continue leveling my main character here, my warrior, all the way up, and the review is going to come out as normal. Good thing that 735 is coming in early, so that whenever I do my horde character, I can immediately jump in after the review and check out the vanilla zones and see how that's changed from when I played my warrior leveling up in vanilla. And so that's another piece of content that I aim to do. So that's all coming in due time. And that really wraps up my thoughts about World of Warcraft this week. I mean, stream was awesome, as usual. Thank you guys for hanging out on stream. I do want to bring up something, though. I have just revived my Twitch, as I said I was going to do at the beginning of the year with that video. One of my goals this year, adding to the New Year's resolution, is I want to get affiliated on Twitch. I partner on Twitch. Being a partner on Twitch is kind of hard to get these days. So affiliated is like the first step, and that's a goal of mine. So I've introduced a couple of new streaming type content, weekly stuff, Tuesdays, Fridays, but in between, any day of the week I could stream because it's random of that nature. But for Fridays, it's going to be Friday Night Fights, which is basically the PvP streams, and yeah, World of Warcraft will be included in that cycle of games that I want to be PvPing on Friday nights, so that could be a thing. So if you haven't already, you can follow me on Twitch. I'll leave a link at the bottom here under the social media site, so that could be a thing that you can watch. And of course, if you want to see all of that imported into, or export I should say, to YouTube so you guys can watch it here if you do not prefer Twitch, let me know and I will make that happen. So final note, hope you guys are having a good week. Again, I want to thank everybody for jumping into the stream, interacting with chat. That's one of the best parts of streaming, really, for me. I really do enjoy, you know, talking to you guys, answering questions. That's super, super fun while we all, you know, talk about the MMOs on Play and everything. I do appreciate that. So looking forward to next weekend's stream, and hopefully I will be close to ending the Mists of Pandaria expansion, and then we'll jump into World of Draenor. So that's the timeline I've set, and we'll see what happens. So hit the like button for the love of World of Warcraft and MMOs, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I've got all sorts of MMO content that's in the works, and of course everything that I've published in the past. And if you want to support my channel completely optional, you can do so by checking out my Patreon page. I've got all kinds of cool stuff there, and I thank you for your support. So once again, I'm Adrian here, and I thank you for watching. Hey, welcome to the end screen. If you've made it this far, it means you've watched the entire video, and I thank you very much for that. If you want to watch more videos, you can click the cards at the bottom here, anyone would do. And you can subscribe to my channel by hitting the big round button here to get notifications on all my latest videos. See you guys in the next video.